Hello and welcome back to Excellency Mid-League, this fall split, pretty much season it is. We are now here between Grid Esports and GCG Legion, with GCG picking up their first win of the split against Grid Esports, who is now looking to fight it back in this block of 3. Right into game 2 here. Watch to see what changes up in draft here for each of these teams, and I'm joined on the desk today by, of course, TDS Casts. How you doing?
Yeah, after that game 1, kind of not gonna lie, excited to see what GCG does bring from now on and see if Grid wants to change something up, because I feel like with how they play the previous game, they probably would like to have much more explosiveness. So I want to see if they do want to stay close to what they play with in the first game and maybe adapt their mentality, or just stay with the mentality to force things and go for something much more aggressive, like stick with the Xinjiao, but go with something with like Aldiona to force fights and have an much more early aggressive AD carry like
it really feels like
Tristana.
Grid Esports was playing the COG Lulu in a way that didn't benefit the scaling of it. They just kind of wanted to constantly fight. They were always looking aggressively. It will be the Xin Zhao takeaway here from GCG as they lock in the ban against the Lee Sin, so getting rid of an early game jungler and picking up yet another one here for themselves.
Yeah, and they banned a win the Trundle from the side of Grid, which means that now we're going to try and go much more into the jungle pool. There could still be the Diana that we were talking in the first game that maybe comes up. There's still a chance to see a tank jungler. I think that Zag is one of the best junglers right now in terms of tank junglers, and I think that he doesn't get enough playability that he actually deserves to play with. But it's a Seraphine first pick for the Grid, so staying with the thematic or of Enchanter support. But will they play the same way that they played in the first game, going really aggressive with the Lulu, or just using something to follow up? I like the Kennen Seraphine combo. I really like this. They haven't banned yet the Camille, but I like the idea of having an extra CC source with the Kennen, something that can initiate and also follow up the Kennen in case something really goes
really
wrong.
Interesting here. The Grid Esports actually banned Seraphine themselves in game 1, so now locking it in here in round 1 red. They'll follow it up with the Kennen, picking away another one of GCG's picks here. So kind of a pick away and a pick up for themselves here, as it looks like they're already moving towards a much more powerful team fight composition.
Yeah, wanting to fight probably fire with fire, trying to force fights and fighting really early on. They pick the Braum, which idealistically can block the Seraphine really well with the shield and deny a lot of the CC, but okay, wait, it's a Jorik.
Yeah,
Jorik Tumbling.
So this was actually banned by Grid in game 1, but in the second ban phase. They're going to lock it in early here. This is one of I'm blanking on the name. East Phantom's top picks. He loves the Yorick, and it's something I don't think I've seen yet in Excellency. So we're going to see a new champion here on the Rift, and I'll have to see what he can do to execute on this unique split pushing style win condition.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk on the Jorik, but first I'll talk on the Grid last pick. I really like the Jarvan to follow up with the teamfight potential, so really Grid committing to team fighting, and committing to team fighting I feel like around the 15 or let's say 12 to 25 minute mark, where they are really potent and have a lot of value in their ultimate. So I really like this idea, going much more accordingly to how they played the previous game, and I feel like this makes much more sense as well with how they kind of want to play the game and the champions that they have. Now, focusing on the Yorick, I think that Yorick is a really interesting pick. We haven't seen much of it, and he has potential. I think that it's going to depend wholeheartedly on both the matchup and the ability of the player, but he does have the potential to be a really interesting pick and a capable pick of winning the game. So directly against the Kennen, it's going to be, it can be a hard matchup because of the range, but you are able to deny the Kennen escape potential with the mist walls that he does create, and he will have to force a flash because he also doesn't attack fast enough to be able to kill it, which means that right there you already have potential to block the Kennen from escaping and set up for really good ganks. His value also in teamfights is going to be really good with that wall, because even though there's really good teamfight potential from the Jarvan and the Kennen, you don't realistically have a lot of escape tools. The Seraphine, if you get stuck in the wall, it's going to be really hard to escape, and we're yet to see if it's going to be an immobile mage or an immobile AD carry, so your walls can get value. And then on the split push potential, like you're saying, he's going to be really huge. The Maiden with the minions can do a lot of damage to the turrets, and Yorick is a champion that we have yet to see with a lot of the items that have been introduced to try and play around the split pushing potential. So I would like to see if he is able to get a lot of value out of the split pushing.
Yeah, whenever new items get introduced to the league, everyone always on their main champions on items that should fit in the builds. They're kind of not sure where to fit them in, when to build it, things like that. So I'm looking to see if he'll end up going with the Hull Breaker here. I think it could be very strong. Nocturne is a good answer here, though. And I think this will be going mid, as J4 most likely should be jungle with the Kennen top. But what's really good about Nocturne is that when you have the Yorick in a side lane, you need to find a way to pick him off, right? And just shut him down completely. Nocturne, amazing at picking off people in side lanes. He just decides, we're going to fight right now. I'm just going to come over to you. We're going to drop the fear on you, and then my team can follow up on me. So this is a great answer to a split push. They have a lot of team fighting potential already. They don't really need any more ultimates to just stack on top of these. The already extremely powerful Cataclysm, Slicing Maelstrom, and Encore.
Yeah, and I feel like even with those three, the paranoia can be stacked, maybe not directly, but indirectly by denying vision to your enemies. You can make full use of your ultimates because they will they won't know where the side of the grid can come from. And that means that you get even extra value for your ultimates, and even to a certain degree can deny Braum. That is probably the main thing that will stop the ultimates from the grid coming through. So I do like the idea from the Nocturne. There's still a chance that it can be Nocturne jungle and Jarvan solo lane, but I do agree that I would probably prefer seeing the Nocturne in the mid lane and the Jarvan in the jungle, especially against this Malzahar. Wait, it's Graves AD carry? Okay,
and it's locked in instantly. So here's my new theory. You ready?
Okay.
Seraphine Kennen bot lane, Jarvan jungle, Nocturne top, Graves mid.
I can go with that, and that isn't completely bad. It's against an Ezreal Braum, so it's not like you're against a really oppressive lane that can destroy you. So effectively, you can get value of the Seraphine and Kennen in the bot lane. On the mid lane, I think Graves wins that matchup against the Malzahar. You can outpush the Malzahar, and when he reaches level 6, yes, it can be bothersome, but realistically, you're just going to kind of push each other and try and gain advantage into moving into the map. And then in the top lane, if it's Jarvan...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if it's Jarvan on the top lane, I think it can be much better to try and survive the Yorick wall, and you can put a little bit of pressure, but I think Nocturne or Jarvan can do really well in the top lane against Yorick, both of them.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to say I don't like this Malzahar pick, or really the Ezreal pick here for GCG Legion. I think I can forgive the Ezreal a little bit more, but when the Great Esports locks in Kennen, Jarvan, Seraphine, Nocturne, and you lock in a single target crowd control ability, I don't think that's a great match. I think what you wanted there was some kind of disengage ability. I mean, even the Syndra could have worked out here, but kind of other champions, Nico could really just force everyone away from that. Orianna has a much more traditional approach to something like that. But having something that can just disengage the fight or completely reset it and force the Great Esports to walk away after they drop the team fight, or even just split them up a little bit, would have been great here against this very dive-heavy composition.
I would think the Orianna is probably one of the better approaches because of how important her shockwave can be at any point, and you can really deny a lot of things. I don't dislike the Malzahar that much because his silence can still be really valuable. I do agree that single target CC, just denying one of the 3 main ultimates will not stop the rest and probably cannot be as valuable, but I think the silence and especially the dots damage this game is going to be huge, because if the side of the team fighting for the grid can be really good and can be really strong, but if they don't explode their targets, or they cannot reach the good targets like the Malzahar and the Ezreal, then the counter attack from the Malzahar Ezreal can be really huge. And realistically, there's nothing to stop Dots damage from doing a lot of damage, apart from maybe Seraphine heal, but even then, she is really susceptible to dying to the Dots damage from the Malzahar. So I think Malzahar has value. I do think that Orianna could probably have been a better choice overall. Even Nico to a certain degree, or Asir also as well, I think can also get value, but I think Malzahar can be really good here as well. Is that a client mistake?
Yeah, it looks like the client had a bug there. We will be, I believe, heading to a short break as we sort through some technical bugs. We'll be rejoining you in game for game 2 against Grid Esports and GCG Legion. We'll have to And welcome back. We have sorted through the quick quiet bug there. We should just be able to move through Champion Select normally here. I'm not sure how it looks on production screen, but I know my client looks a little bit funky right now. There's a Twitch locked in. That is not the case here. It is GCG Legion here on the blue side up against the Grid Esports on the red side. And it will be from the top down in theory. Yorick in the top lane, Zenzao in the jungle, Malzahar mid with Ezreal Bomb bot. For the Grid Esports, it's a huge question mark, though. We just have to wait and hope the client doesn't bug out on us and shows us our picks correctly.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to suffer through that as well. Again, and for the players as well, it would be not ideal to say the least, especially with how exciting it seems to be the second game with the picks that we have already seen. I think it could end up being such an exciting game, and to get it bothered by the client as much as it is, it's just a sad news.
Yeah, but you have some off-meta picks locked in here with the, I mean, just Graves going somewhere on the map. No traditional AD carry locked in here for the Grid Esports. AD cannon builds, I'd say, are a little bit out of style and aren't really worth picking up anymore. So I wouldn't expect to see him swap over to something new. I'm just curious to see which lane they're going to go to. I mean, Excellency Esports rules are you can lock in these picks throughout your draft, but the trades have to be done by the 20-second mark on the initial delay. So we will see their final comp here in this Champion Select. There we go. Okay, my client fixed myself. I'm not sure how production looks again, but we do have the Malzahar there, and it's not a Twitch, I promise. There's no Twitch locked in this game.
Yeah, at least we get the good picks, and it's Graves in the top lane, Nocturne and Cannon. Like you're saying, there's chance to just trade them around, but if it ends up going like this, I think Graves does have a good potential against the Yorick. I'm more interested now in the mid lane because I feel like with the Cannon, you do have potential to get a soul kill early on. I think that Malzahar is not that adept against the Cannon. Even with the Malzahar lockdown ultimate, he can just get insta soul killed by the Cannon. So I would like to see what does happen in the mid lane. And also now, if the Jarvan does go into the AD carry position, how do they play that? It's luckily, like we were saying, not a lane that it's so bad for them, but it could be really, really interesting to say the least.
Yeah, it might be the Seraphine bot with the J4 support. If these current picks are to believe, again, there could be trades. I'm not sure if I like the idea of sending Cannon mid. I think much more effective would be the Graves, who, like you said earlier, can match the wave clear here of the Malzahar. It's a lot easier for him to kind of just keep the shove at least even there in mid lane, even possibly outshove the Malzahar and then look for a roam, and just be a very aggressive duo here to match with the Nocturne and deny any early aggression from Zenzao.
Yeah, I think that would be the most ideal thing. I think it would be the better thing as well. But realistically, now with those things, I'm not sure if I'm okay now with moving those around. I think that the ideas that they have are not that bad either, so committing to this, it's overall not a bad idea. I think they can commit to the lanes that they have already put their champions in. They probably don't need to force really early on, they can, but they are going to try and force through team fights in the mid game for the Drake battles or the Drake fights that I think are going to decide who wins the game. And I think that ideally their composition with the way that they have set themselves up to be able to play it, I think it's okay. And going into the mid game is going to be really, really strong against what the side of the GCG have drafted for them.
And here in the top lane, Graves versus Yorick. It's going to be, I think, our highlighted matchup here between these two teams is really whoever comes out on top is going to be able to be the split pushing threat that their team needs them to be. Graves, not as effective in the team fights, but does have that AoE potential. If he gets ahead over the Yorick and can solo kill the Yorick consistently, Adderall's effectiveness obviously is going to be way down. We are going to work out the rest of the spectator delay. We'll be heading to the match shortly. It'll be GCG Legion looking to get their second win here against the Grid Esports, and the Grid Esports currently 0-7 looking to get their first as well. We'll be right back after a brief intermission. Stay tuned. Back onto the Rift here. Will it be GCG with their split push Yorick or the funky composition that Grid Esports has put together here as they move out onto the Rift for their level 1? Grid Esports this time looking like they want to find the level 1 play.
Yeah, I feel like the Grid has a composition that it's destroy first, ask questions later, pretty much. You just want to ram your head in head first and see what happens. And it's GCG with
Looking
much
for
control
it.
weight.
That'll be the snare.
Ooh.
What can they follow up on it with? The immediate flash from Chonga will allow him to get to safety. And that's an early summoner burned here on the Braum. Trying to recall, no one going to deny the Nocturne, so you'll be able to get back on in time. Obviously to that buff as quickly as possible. Even back for the sweepers, so already off to a fairly successful invade here for the side of Grid.
Yeah, and I really like that they went for that level 1. I would have... I'm surprised they didn't use any ward on the tri-push first to see if there was someone in, but they just walked in blindly. They get the flash out of the Braum, and I think that's going to be ideal, because on the bottom lane, Seraphine Jarvan has a lot of setup, and they can be a good way to kind of get a cheesy gang at the start with for the Nocturne to maybe start running off. But already I really like that movement from the side of the grid, and I think that will be able to potentiate them going.
Yeah, I'm really looking at their composition this time, and this really feels more suited to their style. Last game, they really struggled with that slow scaling, sitting back, not fighting, and it really just looked like they wanted to be aggressive and proactive. And really, this team composition they have now looks like it wants to skirmish constantly, wants to try and fight constantly, and we're already seeing that happen here with that early level 1, blowing the flash of Chonga boy there that time. No death sentences from the God Hook himself this game.
Yeah, sadly, he's not going to be able to constantly hit a hook on that one guy Nos. But like you're saying, I think this suits much more the playstyle from the Grid. And I think that even though I said that it's probably going to spike much more in the 12 to 25 minute mark, when they get ultimates and are able to force fights, I feel like they have enough CC to force fights even before that. And I think that's something that the side of Grid can look more
right here about the bat. Iselico last game went for a very early invade onto Kapua, managing to find that first kill on Trundle. But already, you do see East Phantom rotating to get this ward down. Should be able to spot out the Zenzo if he goes for anything funky. At the very least, we'll know his approximate position as he crosses into the river here.
Yeah, I think one of the main difference with the previous game in that regard to the jungle path was the fact that the jungle from the Grid, Capua, was taking so long to be able to clear the jungle, and it gave a window of opportunity for the Shin. Going now, but like you're saying, they knew this was happening, and he was able to clear his close to his whole top side, apart from these Raptors, which means that he's not going to miss that much in terms of experience and gold.
Yeah, should be just fine here. Still trying to fight the Raptors, and Xin Zhao and Malzahar still lurking, as of course can't really outpush the Malzahar, so you should expect constantly being shoved in here in mid. East Phantom getting engaged on. Can just simply dash out them, he'll be just fine. We got potential engagement here. Zenzel's right above. You gotta be careful of Iselico. No stun available just yet. Will be the slicing or the lightning dash to try and get forward. Will immediately send the Malzahar. They'll find first blood. Triumph proc will keep this Nocturne alive for another second. The smite almost keeps him alive a little bit longer. The Catamatics be forced to disengage here as even level 4 versus level 3. I don't think he wins 1v1 against Xin Zhao.
Yeah, I feel like if he with the smite, he probably didn't expect the amount of health he got there at the end, because if he just runs away, he probably survives after that, or he's able to at least be able to
flashless Braum here to be Chonga boy in trouble. Guardian proc not going to save him. Debay now in trouble here, forced to arcane shift out. Arbok continuing to find the autos, but a flash out will be good enough to keep himself alive.
Yeah, Jarvan support to a strong, really nice trade in the bot lane, creating so much damage on the away mid lane.
Luckily, Lightning Dash gives him just enough movement speed. Those slows from Xin Zhao don't quite matter enough.
Yeah, just away from the wind becomes lightning, not much. The bottom lane has positioning, which means that you can support your Nocturne here. Yeah, Shin has to run away, but they can probably... I think they probably want to try and force a fight here.
It just might do it. I mean, they managed to get the Scuttle Crabs. They're happy to just disengage once again. You know, Nocturne in the Xin Zhao matchup just kind of wants to farm up, and right now doing a phenomenal job. Managed to get one of the Scuttles here. Already up 10 CS over the Xin Zhao, picking up yet another camp. He should be rapidly approaching the level 5, especially considering he managed to find one of those kills.
Yeah, and like you're saying, I feel like the fact that he's able to keep on farming and it's outpacing the farm from the Xinjiao, it's already a huge boost of and a huge win for the grid. You want to get that paranoia as soon as possible and force place. That first paranoia will be really important, but it's reaching that point that it's going to be the most important first step, and you need to keep on farming. So I really like the decision making there to not only get the scuttle crab with the positioning that you had thanks to the bot lane play, but also just disengaging when you know that you don't need to force that fight, and instead they can now with the backs coming from the graves. He probably I don't think he needs to use teleport, but he probably will. And with the advantage that they have on the mid lane, if the Kennen does back and they want to try and force anything, they probably can get a kill on the mid lane. He levels with the mid lane.
Kind of wanted to look for this one, but he's currently level 5. East Phantom though get found out on that back timing. Just might get solo killed here by the York, but he should be just fine. As Ethereal walking into the tower, he does have Nether Grasp available to try and look for the disengage here on a Kapua, but he managed to get the fear down. Kinematics has no placing Maelstrom, so it might be a little bit risky from Nocturne. Doesn't want to go one more. Oh no, don't go that far. Gets Nocturne. Oh no. It's tragedy. A flash forward will find the kill, but it will be the double kill here for Rithiel in the middle lane. Just going a little too far under tower there.
It's fine to force the flash there. You don't need to commit much more for the kill, because if you get the flash there and then you get paranoia, you get a pretty much secured kill on the mid lane later on. Because the Mazahar will keep on gaining the push, and he will have to forcefully push against the Kennen, and you are going to get in a better position. But they commit so hard for the play, they give 2 kills to the Mazahar, and even though they will have a really strong composition in mid game to team fight, giving easy gold for the Mazahar is not going to be ideal. Also on this top lane, I really like that on the way that he fought that previously was because he stopped the back, but now
he's getting
he does have flash.
He's getting damage down. At a point where he does have the collateral available, almost connects, but just barely gonna miss out here. Kapua misses fine on the dragon there, but he was able to secure it. So GCG finding a few advantages here for themselves, as while he didn't find the kill top lane, just forcing out the Yorick flash could be massive. We did see pings go down on that as well. So they are tracking his flash cooldowns, it looks like. And I'm looking for this Nocturne once he hits 6 to either exploit the Malzahar or that Yorick.
Yeah, even though he did die in the mid lane, he still will get a window of opportunity to go for the Malzahar kill. So I hope that they do go for that. They will also have Maelstrom, which means that you will have the potential to kill on the mid lane. Also on the top lane, I would like to see it, but with the Graves not having collateral damage, I would wait first to have the collateral damage and then forcing a play.
A little harder to execute, of course, without that high damage ability than the top lane. Kapua has now just been spotted on that ward, clearing that out with the sleeper, so they do know there's a Nocturne towards bottom side of the Yorick, and Malzahar can play safe for at least a limited amount of time, as of course can very quickly close that gap with paranoia.
Yeah, paranoia, it's going to be such a useful tool to get picks on the sideline, something that you were talking about on the draft. But also to get the value in the team, because I feel like paranoia going on top of the Malzahar or on the Ezreal, even if you get a stun or focus, it's going to be ideal to try and get attention away from some of the members, like the Jarvan, like the Kennen,
does land.
Like
already used the dash. Eats Phantom in trouble here. Arthiel has roamed up. Nether Grasp available. Will land. The wind, or lightning becomes wind. Ice Electrical going to clean up the kill, and it's a 3-man lone on the top lane. Nocturne not close enough to just scare him off with paranoia. So it will be just the 1-for-0 trade. A few plays coming their way, as well as Maiden slowly picks away at that tower.
Yeah, I think much more than the kill and the plates going in the favor of the side of GCG. It's the amount of XP and gold that you're denying for the Graves. Graves no longer doesn't have teleport, which means that he cannot respond to these minions dying here. He's going to be a little bit behind now in comparison to the Yorick, and I really love that play because it's just easy push in the mid lane into the roaming squad to give an advantage to the Yorick. I really like that they are playing to that, and it's something that cannot be stopped by the Kennen, because the Kennen doesn't have the pushing power that Malzahar has, nor that the Grave has. That this is something that you're talking about, and it's the fact that with the Graves, you probably could have kept the push against the Malzahar even, and that way deny the roaming potential. But because the Kennen is here, I think there's skills potential, but if you don't try and but if you don't try to take advantage of the kill potential that you have on mid lane with the Kennen and the Nocturne, then it's going to be so easy for the Malzahar to move around and use his ultimate aggressively.
They do need to get this paranoia off at some point. I mean, he's been level 6 for a while and just hasn't managed to find any kind of gank or advantage with it. Needs to get use out of it, start building those ultimate hunter stacks, and then just continue to find 1v2s across the map. But so far, he's just struggled to do that. Now looking towards bottom lane, there is a Zinzao in the wings. Isolaco could just end up looking for the counter gank here. They would have the strength, of course, with that Braum passive, so we'll have to see. But looks like they're content to just back off. East Phantom getting chunked out a little hard here. Paranoid does proc, but he's looking towards bottom lane. Zinzao walking forward. Is near side. It does not see the Nocturne just yet. He doesn't actually dash on in. He doesn't commit hard enough. Arbok now getting pushed out an insect here from the Crescent Guard will mean he's left alone. A great stun from the Braum will connect as well, and they find that second kill. Here comes Slicing Maelstrom, will be the flash forward from Kinematics. And actually, Isolaco just says, screw this, I'm just going for the kill. He almost gets it. He will. The red buff finds it. And now the stun from the Braum means the Bay picks up a second of his own. And this bottom lane fight, initiated by this Paranoia, turns completely on its head.
Yeah, and it was not only the Paranoia, but I was waiting for the Encore from the Seraphine to come through, but it seems that before the Paranoia came through, which means that they missed the Encore, and that prompted the Paranoia not getting anything and made the fight much more easy for the side of GCG. And if the Encore maybe hits, they can probably go much more harder onto an objective. But because the Encore doesn't get any value, the Paranoia then doesn't get any value, and the answer from GCG, once again, like in the previous game, really good. They were ready for it. They answered that really well, and it's not only the fact that they got the kills on bottom lane, but they also got a lot of plates in
a little bit of trouble here. Kapua getting another grasp and manages to keep him away from his teammate, but a great collateral damage here from East Phantom will find the kill. Harrisfield did manage to take the tower, but at what cost here? As did end up falling there in that fight. 1 for 0, or 1 for tower here in the middle lane.
Yeah, it's 1 for tower and 2 plates per start. I think the trade it's valuable for the side of GCG. They get the extra gold. They get the opening. They get to open the map because the mid lane tower is now down. Yes, you lose your Xin Zhao, and I think a shutdown went through as well. But I don't think it's the end of the world. One of the things that I do think are bad for the side of GCG, it's the difference in farm in the jungle. There's close to 22 minions already down for them, and I really like this Dragon Secure. They are getting these objectives really well. Oh, okay.
We saw nothing there. Yeah.
Really unlucky. They get probably one of the worst draws that they could have hoped for. I think, well, I'm going to make myself clear with this. It's not the best Drake, but for their composition that relies so much on ultimates, it's not a bad Drake. So at least they will get a lot of value out of the Drake.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think that they could have been better.
Slicing Maelstrom, just pressing R and getting that burst of movement speed for the cannon could be massive here for their team fights. But again, it's just right now, it looks like it's just GCG kind of controlling the map here. Do you see bot lane getting shoved in? This Nocturne just hasn't managed to find the fights with this Paranoia just yet. Graves about to get ganked here in the top lane, and I can't imagine this one's going to go super well. He's Phantom on for the dash, burns the flash as well. Malzahar also collapsing here. No Nether Grasp available, so we could just lead him on a merry chase, and he's going to do just that. These guys have no way to get over walls, so he can just kind of run around for a little bit of time. East Phantom still on the run. Nothing's landed just yet. Going to look for the execution, as I don't think anyone actually hit him. And there it is. East Phantom. What an end. Amazing. I mean, that's about the best outcome you can ask for when you have 3 people running to your lane.
Yeah, after a Yakety Sax, pretty much, they don't get anything. I like the idea from East Phantom to at least die without giving away gold. It's still a good position from the side of GCG because they will be able to get the push. They are in the jungle, so they are stealing this red buff. They are getting gold value, even if they don't get a kill. Oh, wait,
there is no more arcane shifts. So Kapua is looking at the solo kill here. A nice cleanse from Debay. Might be enough to get him away, but there's just too much damage from the knockdown. That'll be a shutdown. Encore almost connects. One more champion hit on the allies would have allowed it to connect to that Braum, but just could not get in range. One guy, Nuss, not able to land the Encores just yet, but they do pick up the kill. But it's an immediate trading in the mid lane. Plenty of tower damage coming through top and mid for that kill. Oh,
yeah, I think Braum has
in a lot of trouble here. Adderall wants to try and chase him out, ignoring the tower. He's just going to walk on forward. Zenthao now looking for the kill. Might be enough to get it, but the Lightning Rush has got the move speed, and Isolaco does not have the HP to tank up this tower. He has actually opted for Essence Reaver, which I haven't touched on yet, but it does make him very squishy.
Yeah, first item Essence River, it's not like you're saying, it's something that you don't typically see, and it does make you squishy, but with the amount of kills and gold that he got at the start, it's just to get that extra oomph to be able to kill targets. And I think it's not a bad idea, especially because your composition, I don't feel like Dex lacks a lot of damage, but or lacks a lot of survivability, but for these early portions, you need the extra damage to be able to get kills, and that's what he's been going for. I do think that probably Sunder or Gold Drinker gets way more value, but for the stage of the game that they are in and the gold lead that they have, I don't think
It's
a
fairly
bad
interesting.
idea
I mean,
to
it
go for
allows them
that.
to just kind of look for constant engagements with that extra ability haste. Typically, like the usual build is that Gore Drinker into Sterix that just gives them tons of survivability in the fights. And really, I mean, he could fairly easily get locked down and just blown up before he has a chance to even use anything. So I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the Essence Reaver build first, but so far they're winning this match, so I can't fault him too much.
Yeah, the winner's rule of thumb. If you're doing good, then it's fine, and I agree with that to a certain degree. I think if he can get value out of the Essence Reaver, getting the ability haste like you're saying and using it as much as possible, then I do agree it's not a bad idea. I am a believer as you, like you as well, that getting the extra survivability can be much more valuable, especially because you typically don't survive either way. You don't survive long enough to get a second rotation of spells from the Xinjiao. So it's not like you get a whole lot of value from having the extra damage. But maybe he's planning not on fighting for fights, but for picks, in which case having the extra ability haste to be able to get on top of targets.
That could really be it, as
really
Iselico
ideal.
has actually opted for Halo Blade instead of Conquer. So he's not really playing to try and just be in these fights, get sustained damage off. He wants to just dash in, get that quick knockup, and then maybe look for the kill. So having some crit, some ability haste can absolutely help with that. He's Phantom doing what he can to hold on to those towers. That just constantly clears these waves against that pesky Graves.
And he's been able to utilize the wall from the Yorick really effectively with the minions to get as much damage as possible, even with the extra lifesteal that East Phantom has. It's been really hard to be able to to keep up with the pressure of the Yorick and the amount of damage that he does. So I do think that East Phantom has been doing a good job. Yes, he has died a couple of times, but I feel like the matchup has
TDS,
just
we got
not
our
been
first
that good for him
5v5
overall.
here. They look to fight
And
over
5
Soul Point. This is what this team composition in theory should excel at. Just tons of AoE ultimates. Yeah, literally everyone has arrived. And it's all going to come down to who wants to start this one off. Arbok should be the initiation here for the Grid Esports. There's something there's people in mid. Dragon goes over to Graves. A great Encore lands on a 2. Cataclysm manages to hit 2 as well, but Slicing Maelstrom's not enough damage to follow up on it. Everyone's just dropping. Ezreal's doing just fine in the backline. Paranoia to try and get away. Kama's trying to cat back. Look at these health bars. Everyone's so low. And the fight is on a knife's edge, but Tebey and this Yorick are just too dang powerful. Adderall didn't manage to fall in that fight. Chimichanga on the flank here for the winner's bite. Will connect, and it will be the ace. They get the dragon, but they lose the fight, and there's a Herald in mid to pick up yet another tower.
Yeah, and I feel like positioning wise, it wasn't that bad for the side of the grid. But that fight, if you look slowly at the fight, nothing touched
I don't know if this one was worth it. It will be a shutdown, but you know what? It's just J4 support. You can hand that one on over. Not too bad. And they do manage to crack open this base pre-Baron. Not taking the inhib though, and you know that this is a team that watched Freak's video.
I just realized that it's not an AP Jarvan support, which makes me a little bit disappointed. I thought it was going to be the build, but I won't attack a player for this. It's just a little thing that I would have liked to see. But going back into the team fight, Ezreal was left untouched, and with the Maelstrom, they came without getting attacked by the Maelstrom or the Seraphine ultimate, which made that fight much more easy for the side of GCG to win. Like, realistically, yes, the ultimates came through, but the value from the ultimates were close to none. And it was a 3-4, I think it was a 3-4-2 at the end. No, it was a 5-4-2, if I'm not wrong. Which means that if maybe the ultimates hit everyone, it's probably a fight for the grid, but as it stands right now, it's just been so easy for the side of GCG to answer to what the grid wants to do and have been able to win fights because of that.
Yeah, really should give GCG some credit. I mean, when you're playing to that many ultimates, you really do have to play that critically fight front to back, make sure you're main carries on the back lane don't get hit by that encore, don't get hit by that slicing maelstrom. They did it perfectly. Once the cooldowns were out, they were so happy to just walk forward. And with their slight gold lead and slight team fight advantage at that point, with those ultimates being down, they're able to find the fight. But East Phantom here going to get knocked up, almost get stunned up. So incredibly low here, but Icelico now forced to try and run away. Slicing maelstrom does come out, but it's landing on the wrong targets once again. No one has fallen just yet. Arbok has arrived at the fight. We'll find the knock, we'll find the cataclysm. That one guy, Nuss, chasing forward, but he's gotten super low, and the disengage should be good enough here with the winner's bite. Arbok got 2 stacks on that stun. Not getting dropped just yet, but they're still hanging out in the wings. Looks like someone will try and take this fight. 5 versus 4 the top lane, and Arithiel, meanwhile, has got this wave pushed in the tower. He's crashed in it, and he's looking at taking this one down.
Yeah, Arathiel doesn't care. He just keeps on pushing on the side lane. And I like that. Yeah, realistically, yes, the forcing from GCG was good, and they were able to almost get a kill. But they don't need the kill. They as long as they forced out all of those cooldowns from the side of the grid, means that for the next minute, you no longer have to worry about those cooldowns and can try and get much more pressure on the map. And I feel like that idea, even though it looks kind of conflicting with a lot of with what we saw in the previous game, they are playing much more correctly with a calm mindset in this game. And I think it's something that the grid lacked in the previous game, and GCG are showcasing better.
Trying to figure out Seraphine and J4 just backed for. J4, maybe just looking to get the ward stone refilled. We'll pick up 2 control wards as well. Seraphine, I think, actually picked up the Archangel staff. They looked like they were like at full HP, so it was a little funky at first, but they should be just fine. As Seraphine actually, with the Leandries, Archangels, getting a little bit more powerful here and might have the damage to look for that initial burst in these team fights, as just falling up on that encore is going to be probably the most important ability in almost every single fight they take.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be what I think decides if you are able to get a lot of value out of the Maelstrom and the Jarvan ultimate or not. I think that anchor is going to be huge, and it's going to be really important for the side of GCG and Jimmy Changa particularly to play around from stopping that.
That is you saw, really, really I believe it was actually the shield that took out the encore in that first fight around the dragon. Yes, they secured Drake, but I mean, when it hits the Braum and it doesn't follow through, it's just a massive win here for GCG. You have to make sure that shield is down, or else you're going to lose a lot of value. Team fight ultimate that you have, really, it was only going to be a single target, and it's landing on a support, not the person you want to take down.
It's the same situation as playing against a Norn, pretty much, where you need to time your shield correctly and or play around the Braum having the shield. Because as a Norn, you need that shield to be down to get the max value out of your ultimate. And as the Braum, you need to know when to use your shield to stop that crucial ultimate. So that is moment in the game is going to be really important. And it's going to be fun seeing how both of these
actually just lost the shield that was trying to be big. Encore lands on a 3. Cataclysm and Maelstrom immediately to follow it up. That is the fight you wanted. They finally found it. Double kill goes over to Cataclysmic, says Koopa's just 1v1ing Ezreal here on the side. Bay might actually be able to pull this one off, but no, so incredibly close. Like, Cutting was almost good enough. I was about to say that they had the perfect situation. They were zoning them off the dragon. They had Adderall up here and top lane on the York. They're going to take everyone down, but it will be the soul going over. The team fight composition comes through, and they get the extra move speed plus the ultimate cooldowns. This team's got to be feeling happy about that one. The Grid Esports find a huge win.
And it's by the hands of that one guy knows. We're talking about how his ultimates needed to get much more value as soon as he saw a chance. And I think this is crucial because I think they saw that the Braum wasn't close by, which means that they could force that fight.
And they have no more ultimate cooldowns right now. Might just be East Phantom with his collateral damage. We'll see what they can do here in this team fight. Yep. Great knock-up will land on the Adderall there to keep him back. Getting into the fight. That one guy just has to play super far back. Kopa will find 1 kill. They'll find the second. They pick off the Malzahar off the back of the TP. And 2 versus 5. They find some kills, but now they probably can't do Baron. That one guy gets spotted up by this pink ward, but it won't be the dash over from Icelico. They're playing this fight on a nice edge. 3 versus 5. This is actually very risky for them to try and take this. That one guy's trying to keep the team alive. A knockup will land. Following up with the paranoia. Here comes the move speed from the team. The cooldowns are coming through. They might have the damage they need here to pick it up. A great kill ultimate for the Ezreal. Almost picks up the rest of the fight, but he drops, and in the end, they find the ace. The Grid Esports doing what they need to come back in this game.
Yeah, it was based on one team fight that they were able to go into the Baron. I loved how they did play that because everyone turned around. Instead of just getting poked out or anything like that, they turned around as a unit. Go for the kill, on the Malzahar and Yuri, and even though the rest of the members are able to respond, they are able to once again turn around and go for a fight instead of being disjointed and disarrayed in the Baron pit, and they are able to secure the rest of the kills. And even though they don't get the massive objective that is the Baron buff, they are now in a much better position than they were in 5 minutes ago, because now they have gold, they have chances to get vision control back, and they also have the soul, which means that they can force the Elder Dragon in 4 minutes, and with their damage that they have before 30 minutes, they probably can win that fight. And if they get the Elder, that is a game winning
really
buff.
Elder, everyone kind of calls it just as soon as it's up and as soon as it's taken, the game essentially ends off the back of that buff. It's just so incredibly powerful in team fights, and when you have this ultimate team fighting composition that really just looks to drop so much damage on a few different targets, a few different select targets in those team fights, they'll just drop that much quicker. And so really the Grid Esports is in prime position to win this game, but they just need this next team fight, like you said. And if GCG plays these fights correctly, plays their split push in the right lane, keeps it warded, does everything they need to do, there is a way for them to even avoid this team fight and just deny them the ability to stack these ultimates. The Elder and this Baron will be the objectives to fight for, but here comes the Nocturne up to Paranoia. They're fighting right here, right now. Rithiel is going to be in trouble, and he just drops immediately. And this is the power of the Nocturne. He's got the Cloud Soul. He's got so much cooldown on this ultimate ability, and he's happily able to just throw it out there. Will be the Baron call as well here from the Grid Esports.
I think it's the first time we've seen that aggressive Paranoia on a sideline play, but I really like that they went for that. They get the pick on the Malzahar, one of the weakest members, to try and survive that no Sonja, so it was going to be hard. And I don't think GCG can contest this without Malzahar. If the side of the Grid wants to turn around, they can just destroy
already got to pull that one off. Braum walks too far forward. Arcane Barrage not going to allow any kind of disengage. That's not crowd control. They just tank it up and walk on through. Braum drops here. Chimichanga goes down. There is the York in the side lane, though, and we got to keep an eye on Adderall's. At this point, this team fight composition being even with you means they're going to win every single fight. We're looking at a hero's performance from Adderall to try and win this game back.
Yeah, he has to get value in the side lane, something that we haven't seen much. The side lane push has to get value away.
Looking for the fight here. No guard, he just might go down. I mean, he's really powerful here, and it will see the shutdown. So that's actually Adderall finding the kill. And now you see this immediate disengage from the Grid Esports as they know they lost that sideline battle. They have to get back and defend this inhibitor tower against the Yorick.
Yeah, the light at the end of the tunnel, Adderall winning that 1v1 means that now you lose pressure on the sideline, so you have to back away. Because if not, if you keep on pushing, Adderall can probably look into pressuring much more the sidelines, and then you lose. So at least that stops the pushing potential from the side of the Grid to open the base and try and break up as much as they can. But luckily, it gets stopped, and now we're at a point where even though you have Baron buff, you cannot achieve much with it yet. And the Elder buff will be coming up soon. I think GCG still has a chance to be able to win this game. They do have power with Adderall on the sideline, and they can poke out this side of the Grid. But the Grid has everything to be able to win team fights as well. So it can go either way, and I'm really excited to see the next fight because
1 minute out on this Elder Dragon spawn. Adderall won this 1v1 once, and he wants to try and take it again. Just going to walk forward for this tower. 1Q. A few more autos will do it. That's a tower going over to Yorick. And now the sideline is cracked open once again. He's going to keep this Graves in the top lane, try and keep him occupied, and might even just look to stay up here. He has teleport available, but honestly, at this point, do you really want to try and TP for the fight against this team fighting composition? I want to see the backdoor happen.
I hope he commits to the split push. Yeah, I hope he commits to the split push. I agree with that. I think it gets much
control
more
here. Two supers go out, so they're going to deny that ward in that bush. York still looking forward here. Does have Divine Sunder to try and keep himself nice and sustained. That might be the call for the fight. Cope is just constantly threatening here with this Nocturne. Will deny Ezreal Essence Flux with that spell shield. But look at this tower. It's already at half. East Phantom. He's trying to get the aggro onto York by utilizing that Phantom. Yeah, he just doesn't care. He's already on the inhib, but there's a pause going out. Yeah, so looks like there was a pause because East Phantom's actually lagging out right now. So Adderall able to take that tower. Gonna see if we can get the ping back down here, but we are at such a critical point in the game, and this pause is just I mean, like look at the city of the map right now. 4v4 on the Elder Dragon, Yorick on the inhibitor. This is basically the dream of a split pusher in this scenario, right? You are the hero of your team. You're the sole remaining hope. You have to win your split push battle 1v1 and take down the base to deny the enemy the ability to take this Elder.
Yeah, pretty much. It's all banking on him being able to get this pressure on that lane. And one thing that I just noticed, I'm not sure if other know this. Obviously, we know this because we have complete information. But he has flash, and the Greaves doesn't. So if he goes aggressive and he gets a solo kill, there's 100% chance that you not only stop the elder coming through from the side of the grid, but you can win the game with that alone. So I do want to see if Adderall does risk everything to try and go for the play and maybe end up winning it.
And remember that Richard took out that middle lane tower as well, so he could just rotate off the back of this wave. Once he gets this one, take the second inhibitor, and at that point, when you have 2 inhibs down against your enemy, you don't really need to fight them. They're going to be busy clearing out those super waves. So even if they manage to get this Elder Dragon at this point, Adderall could just make it not super worthwhile and just force them to kind of stall out, play for time, and wait for these inhibitors to come back up.
Yeah. And it's something also that why I don't want him to teleport to the fight, it's keeping the threat of the teleport. Because even if the grid gets the other buff, I call it a game-winning buff, and I think it's a game-winning buff because it does allow you to just get enough power to brute force your way into the enemy base and win the game. But if he keeps his teleport up without Baron on the map, with super minions coming through, if he gets both inhibitors, he can win the game through that as well. So I really want them to keep the teleport threat. I really want them to keep every card up if possible to be able to make the grid have to take the tough decisions instead of GCG having to deal with the tough decisions.
Also here
themselves.
On the map, so mid lane's pretty neutral. Bottom lane has a stacking wave right now, and of course you see on your screen Adderall here in top lane with a stacked wave.
Yeah.
If this fight is won by the Grid Esports on this Elder, they have to get back and defend this base as well. East Phantom might be able to win the 1v1 with Elder against Adderall. It's kind of iffy. So they need to win the fight, get back, kill the Yorick, and then the question is, what damage has been done to your base by that point? Because there's this wave crashing, but you won't be able to really get anything because you're going to have to clear 2 waves mid. That'll kill a minute off the back of your Elder buff. There's a lot going well here right now for GCG, despite it not looking great at the moment at this Elder fight.
I do think, though, even though everything is right, and I think the map state right now feels much, much better for the side of GCG. They have waves in their favor, and they have positioning advantage in some areas.
On the inhibitor will immediately take it out. Look how quickly he does damage to these structures. There's still just danger pings going on the Elder. I don't think the grid wants to start this one up, but look, East Phantom getting chunked out so quickly by this Yorick. The constant dashing forward to the ghouls. He's already down to half, and Adderall just wants to get onto this Nexus as quickly as possible. He's just taking the tower. Wait, here comes a teleport from Arithmetic. They're committing to this one. Paranoid does come out, but it's not going to be any kind of fight here. Here comes the slicing maelstrom. They're going to find the kills. She shuts down the Yorick. There's a quick pause there. And Malzahar might be able to get it. No, he actually falls as well. There's a teleport to the base coming out from one of the players. Here comes the knockup. Isoleko trying to kite back, trying to stay alive. Keppo's going to go godlike debate, trying to kite back 1v3. Might actually be able to do it, but no, he can't find any of them. No one goes down. Ezreal falls. There's no waves available for them to take down this base, but there's an Elder on the map. So the question is what to do with this time. Full on ace and a blundered play as Adderall falls underneath the tower to East Phantom.
I love that play. Adderall going straight for the turret, and then Arathiel going for the teleport. I think it was a great idea, but Adderall tanked way too much turret shots there. If he doesn't tank those, they probably can kill the turret. You don't need, with 2 people there, you don't need to go for the Graves. You just focus on the turrets and you win the game. And with the Malzahar ultimate there, you probably can then kill the Graves. But because Adderall dies so quickly, it's much more easy for the Graves to pull it up, and that also wins the fight on the bot side. It was such a good idea and such a quick decision from the side of GCG, but the execution failed at the end, and that prompted the potential for the grid to not only win the fight on top side, win the fight on the dragon, and also win the dragon for them. Luckily for them, for GCG, they still won the inhibitor, and there's still potential to use other OCP. But right now, if if the Grid wants to force a fight and they commit super strongly for the fight with the other, they should be able to destroy
the
everyone.
only risk here at this point is if they manage to pull off the disengage, there's a teleport available from Adderall. And if they manage to disengage from the fight without losing too many people, they can look to just stop a game of whack-a-mole with the back timers from their team on top of that. So you already see this team moving towards the bottom lane. They know they need to clear out this wave, and everyone from the Grid has moved into mid. This is because they know they need to just shove this wave in and get one of these team fights with this Elder still on their entire team. They're going to try and force it on in here. To me, Changa just walks forward and dies. What are you doing? Glacial Fisher is not going to stop an Elder Dragon. And now the Paranoia is coming through too. Here comes all the ultimates from this team. Kapua gonna do some damage here to Zinzao. Crescent Guard keep him alive for not long enough. Caterpix gonna kill off everyone with a slicing maelstrom. And they're just gonna walk back towards the inhibitor. Teleport gonna come through from Graves. 1v5. It's Adderall versus the world. He burned his teleport to get back here, and I don't think he has what it takes. Gonna try and drop the wall, gonna try and find a kill. The wave is here. Kind of makes this flashing forward. He just does not care. We'll find the stun as the rest of the team finishes off the base. This will be the Grid Esports committing hard, committing well, finding their first win in the mid league as we go 1-1 on the series.
Yeah, and what a way to end up the game. It was turning into something really, really close. And at the end, it's a game-winning buff. It's not the other, but someone running it down mid that ends up winning. I don't know what happened there with Chimichanga. I really don't know. He just went in for some reason. Maybe he wasn't paying attention. He was looking at somewhere else. It has to be. Because he didn't realize until it was way too late.
We saw his Thresh in game 1. He's a phenomenal support player. I think maybe just looking away at the wrong time, looking at the side lanes, scoping at how the map was looking, just a little bit of a head scratcher coming out there. Not the play you want to make at this point in the game. Will fall, and we won't get the base race in the end, but we did get an insane team fight and a well-earned victory here from the Grid Esports.
Yep, and Kennen needs to go. Kennen seems to be the main pick because both teams have played around the Kennen really well. And I think that at least GCG, I think, had a better understanding of how they could play this game better than what the Grid did in the previous game. But I feel like aggressive mindsets for teamfights are what both of these teams really like. And I think Kennen encapsulates that really well and has been working for both of these teams. So I think that it can become either a contested pick
I'll have to
or
admit, it wasn't the contested pick I was expecting through this series. I was really thinking it'd be the Viego, one of these more power picks, but Kennen coming in clutch for both these teams. We're going to be going into game 3. We'll see who will claim the little lightning rat mouse and who will be the loser on the day, as one of these teams will claim sole possession of 9th or 10th place. We'll see you guys in just a little bit here on Excellency Esports.